Welcome to Billings, Montana. What a great time I've had exploring this city. It is so beautiful, and in this video I'm going to be sharing some of my 10 favorite activities and things to do if you're coming through Billings. Billings is a great place to come if you're road tripping across the country, or you're coming through maybe to visit the Black Hills in South Dakota, or going to Yellowstone. And there is a ton of stuff to do here. It's absolutely beautiful, shaped by the Yellowstone River on one side, protected by the Rimrocks on the other. There is ample places to bike, to hike, and especially just to get outside and be in nature. While I was here, I went to tons of local and state parks. I went to some national monuments, BLM land, and lots more. And I'm going to be sharing all of the places that I loved in this video. My first recommendation is a visit to the Montana Zoo. Not all zoos are the same, but this one is pretty special because they only have animals from the 45th parallel or higher. Lots of the animals here are from the local area throughout Montana and the Rocky Mountains, but there's also a three-toed sloth, a red panda, and some other animals that I am super excited to check out. We're actually meeting up with one of the zookeepers here and are going to get a tour of all the critters. This is the only zoo in Montana, and what I loved about it is that it's mostly animals from the region and other animals from the 45th parallel, which means they're used to this climate. They can stay outside in the winter. Now they do also have a small amount of animals from around the world, different places, mostly amphibians, snakes, and birds. The zoo is part of global conservation programs, is ACA accredited, and is part of a few breeding programs as well. I really enjoyed watching the lynx, wolf, and grizzly bear, and I also got a special behind-the-scenes treat to meet Pabu, who is an endangered red panda and one of the zoo's ambassador animals. Next on my list is checking out the brewery trail. All right, if you guys love local breweries, you're gonna love this. It's called the Billings Brew Trail. It connects about 14 different breweries, 9 of which are in the downtown area here. And you can get everything from single malt whiskeys to beers, ciders, and even wines. I'm gonna check some of them out. Montana has the second most breweries per capita in the US, and if you're into craft beer, wine, or liquor, you're gonna love this. There's about 6 breweries, 2 distilleries, and 1 cider house, which are in the downtown area and are walkable on a self-guided trail. And then there's also a few other breweries which are scattered around town as well. Make sure you get the Brew Pass mobile passport, which you can get at visitbillings.com. This is gonna connect you with all the exclusive rewards that you can get for visiting multiple breweries. If you're here in Billings on a Saturday between July and October, one place you won't want to miss is the Yellowstone Valley Farmers Market. This spans a couple of blocks here in downtown Billings, starting over at 2nd and Broadway and expanding out throughout that area. There's so many great things here, from produce to bakery items. You're gonna love it. Here you can find a variety of fruits, breads, vegetables, meats, and much more. It's also a great place to grab a breakfast pastry, some fresh baked bread, or a delicious crepe. After that, it's time to check out some of the area's local museums. There are several great museums in the Billings area, so on a rainy day, or if you just don't want to be outside, you can come and check out some of these. Right now I'm at the Yellowstone Art Museum, and here they have rotating galleries as well as artists in residence. Now, for a small town, Billings actually has a really good amount of museums. I chose the Yellowstone Art Museum because I really like contemporary art, and this is actually the largest contemporary art museum in Montana. There are several rotating exhibits here from local and global artists. I really enjoyed some of the local old cowboy artists, and there were some fantastic exhibits with huge paintings from the last few years as well. If you're coming to Billings, you're going to want to get outdoors. Billings is known as Montana's trailhead, and there are lots of them here, from local parks to national monuments to scenic byways. There are so many options for hikers, bikers, walkers, and explorers. Here are some of my favorites. If you're in Billings, you have to check out the Rimrocks, and one of the best places to do that is Zimmerman Park. This is located just above town and not that far from the airport, and it's located right on top of the Rimrocks with several dirt trails open to the public, as well as pets and bikes. It overlooks the city and is a great place to not only warm up your biking skills, but take an afternoon stroll. One of the other local parks that I loved was the John Dover Memorial Park. It has some of the best riverside scenery in Billings. It's a small park and it's actually the site of an old homestead. It's situated right on the banks of the Yellowstone River with about 3 miles of trails. And if you've got kids, they're gonna love this place because there's several suspension bridges that traverse the riverways, which are super fun. And if you walk up to the top of the rim, you'll have just really great views over the Yellowstone River as well. Just 15 minutes outside downtown Billings, Phipps Park is 350 acres of natural area set aside for hiking, biking, walking the dogs, and disc golf. You can take a short, steep hike up to the plateau and you'll have spectacular views from the top of the rim on all sides. Just look out for flying frisbees as you go along. Now, I really enjoyed this. This was one of my last stops when I was visiting Billings, and I really loved the spectacular views from the tops of the plateau. If you go late in the day, you will have just amazing sunset views as well. One of my favorite natural areas in town was definitely Four Dances Rec area. Now, I actually went here on 2 occasions to take in the views of the Yellowstone River from the rocky overlooks on the Rimrock, and the weather could not have been more different. You know, one day I had beautiful blue skies. The other day I had this heavy fog that covered everything, and it was really spectacular. So if you're looking for a place to stretch your legs, take your dog for a walk, or just see some scenery, I definitely recommend this place. There's a few miles of trails here. There's also an old artist cabin that you can walk to, and it's definitely a local's favorite for running and walking the dogs. Heading a little bit farther outside of town, you will definitely want to check out Pompeys Pillar. This area protects a huge sandstone rock that served as a landmark for both prehistoric settlers, Native Americans, and white settlers. It's nestled on the banks of the Yellowstone River and rises 120 feet into the air with several walking trails to explore. This area of Montana along the Yellowstone River was also the navigation route for the Lewis and Clark expedition. And here at Pompeys Pillar, there's actually a signature from William Clark of Lewis and Clark right behind me that you can check out while you're exploring this area. It's not just a geologic wonder, but a site of cultural and historic significance, boasting the markings of thousands of years of human occupation. This area is also great for bird watching and picnicking, and I especially loved the views from the top of the plateau over the Yellowstone River. I was lucky to be here when the fall colors were just starting to peak, and it was really, really beautiful. Now, next on my list is taking a drive out to the Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument. You might know this also as Custer's Last Stand. This is such an important piece of American history. So a lot of triumph, a lot of tragedy here in this land. But if you come here, you'll get to recount the history. I learned a lot just checking out the visitor center here. You'll get to see a lot of the graves from both the Native Americans that fought on this land defending their homelands and the infantry soldiers from the American Army as well. On June 25th and 26th of 1876, Colonel Custer and 263 soldiers died fighting thousands of Lakota, Arapaho, and Cheyenne warriors. The battle was a momentary victory for the Lakota and Cheyenne, but the death of Custer and his troops became a rallying point for the U.S. to increase their efforts to force Native peoples onto reservations. It's not very often you get to see the actual writings on the wall from the people that came before us, but that's exactly what you can do here at Pictograph Caves State Park. And I was really excited that I was gonna get to check this out when I came to Billings. There's a couple of caverns here that actually have pictographs from some of the prehistoric people that lived in this area before we did. You know, some of the artifacts they found date back to 11,000 years ago. There are 3 main caves at this small state park where you can see some of the old rock paintings from prehistoric hunters. Now, many of the art has actually faded with time, but if you look closely, you can still make out the shapes of animals, weapons, and tools. The caves are easily accessible by a 3/4 of a mile loop trail, and this is also a fantastic place to come and see some of Billings' great fall colors. Exploring Billings has been so fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this top 10 list. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a comment down below, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up too. I've got more information on Billings and some of the other places I visited around the world on my blog, alicesadventuresonearth.com. So I hope you guys check it out, and I will see you guys in the next video. As always, I'm Alice Ford. Never stop exploring.